Okay, so we're going to look at graphing lines and points of intersection in this video. So graphing lines, like, you need to know this off by heart, and you should already know it. To find where a graph cuts or crosses or intersects the x-axis, you let y equal 0. And vice versa, to find where it cuts the y-axis or cuts, crosses, intersects any of them, you let x equal 0. So it's always the opposite. So when they're talking about x, you let y equal 0, and when they're talking about y, you let x equal 0. So you should know that all off by heart anyway. But just to kind of give you, to explain that, I suppose, a little bit better to you, every line that you draw, so regardless if it's that kind of line, it's always going to intersect the x and the y-axis if you extend it. So sometimes they'll draw them nice and extended, sometimes they won't. But every line, the equation of that line won't change if you extend it. So what you need to look at, so like to find where it cuts the y-axis, so this would be the y-axis here. You know that point, if you had to estimate that point, you know it's going to be 0, we'd say 6, something like that. Our x value was 0 and our y value was 6, 7, whatever it was going to be. But we knew that cross, that was the y-axis, right? So the y-axis, it said let x equal 0, and x was 0 there. If we talk about where it cuts the x-axis, so this is our x-axis here. So we say it cuts there. So again, we'll give an estimate of the point. So it's going to be, we'll say 5, 0. So looking over here, when it cuts the x-axis, you let y equal 0, and that was the case here. The y was 0. So that will always happen. And like I said, sometimes they'll draw a line and it'll just be like, there, it crosses the y-axis, alright. It doesn't cross the x-axis, but all you have to do is extend it to see where it crossed the x-axis. So what I'm trying to say to you is, graphing lines, you know every line is going to cross the x and y-axis. So to find where it cuts the x-axis, let y equal 0. And to find where it crosses the y-axis, let x equal 0. I hope I'm saying that right, that I'm not just repeating it. But we look at an example that was on exam papers there not too long ago. I think it was actually 2016. Maybe not now, maybe 15. But it said, draw the line K on the axis below. Okay? Difficult to do if you've no idea about it, but you should know, okay, every line crosses the x and the y-axis. So I'm going to find where it crosses the y-axis first. So I'm going to let x equal 0. Then write your formula. So it said x plus 2y equals 8. I'm going to sub in 0 for x. So I'm going to have 0 plus 2y equals 8. So I'll have 2y is equal to 8. The 2 and the y are multiplying, so if I bring that 2 across, it divides. So that'll give me y is equal to 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So that's the point 4. Not 4, sorry. The x was 0, because we said we'd let x equal 0. And the y was 4. So it's 0.04. So if I come over to my graph, I can draw that. So 0 on x is here, and 4 on y is up there, so that's my point. 0, 4. Now I'm going to find where I cut the x-axis, because I know every line cuts the x or y-axis. So let y equal 0. So I'll write my formula again, so the equation that they gave me. And this time I'm going to let the y equal 0. So I'm subbing in 0 for y. So 2 times 0 equals 8. So it'll be x plus 2 times 0 is just 0. That x equals 8. So that point is going to be 8 is my x point. And my y point was 0. So 8, 0. So I'll come to my axis. So my x and my y. So x is 8, y is 0 there. That's my point. Now I have 2 points. I can easily make a line. So grab your ruler and make your line. Have it there. You can go through it like I have on the x-axis, or you don't have to like I have on y-axis. You can just go from point to point. But that's the line. Okay. So to quickly recap, anytime you're asked to draw a line, find where it cuts the x-axis, find where it cuts the y-axis, and there you can draw it easily enough. If we look at point of intersection, so what does point of intersection mean? So it means where two lines meet. And anytime, we should know off by heart, where two lines meet, cross, intersect, you need to do a simultaneous equation. In the exam papers, it didn't ever say point of intersection in this year. It had that sign there. And you need to know from your sets, you should know from your sets in Junior Cert that means intersect. So it said using the graph, numeric or algebra, find the method to find the coordinates of where L intersects K. So you need to know that means point of intersection, so therefore simultaneous equation. In part A of this question, they ask you to find one of the equations, and this is what you should have found because you get 2 points. And in part B was just the part above, so it gave us K. So I have them labelled the wrong way around, but you get the idea. So we have our two equations. It said you can use a graph, so that means that we could have, with this one here, we could have drawn that into a graph. We could all do that because we find where it cuts the x-axis, let y equal 0, and find where it cuts the y-axis by letting x equal 0, and there draw it. So just say, imagine we did this now. This is obviously not going to be the right answer because I'm not working out all the values, but if we drew it there, that would be our point of intersection here, and I would list off that value as 4.3, 1.9 or whatever, and that would be my point of intersection. But just for the sake of it, I'm going to just use algebra. So simultaneous equation, I have two equations. So I have my x plus 2y equals 8 is my first equation, and my second equation is 5x minus 2y. It was minus 10, but I'm going to bring the 10 across, so equals 10. So it changes. Okay, so simultaneous equation, so you need to get rid of your x or your y's. So they have to be, either your x's have to have, or y's have to have different signs and be the same number. It's actually quite easy one because the y's are both 2 and they both are different signs, so we can get rid of them straight away. So because plus 2y minus 2y will give us 0y, so that's why we can cross it out. So then we'll have x, which is just 1x, so 1x and 5x will give us 6x, and 8 and 10 will give us 18. So we'll have x is equal to 6x is on a second, the 6 and the x are multiplying, therefore when we bring the 6 across it becomes a divisor, so you'll have x is equal to 18 divided by 6, which is 3. Once you find your x value, you solve it back into one of the initial equations to find your other value. So we'll have 3 plus 2y is equal to 8, so we'll have 2y is equal to 8 minus 3, so 2y is equal to 5, and y is equal to 5 over 2, which is just 2.5, or 2.5. So your point of intersection was 3, 2.5. And that is that.